what I have to say really fits in nicely to where you guys were coming from. And apologies to Marcus, I did say that I was going to come in juice here this morning, but I thought I wouldn't be able to make enough juice for everyone, and that wouldn't be fair. So I really thought I'd share sort of a couple of stories that I have that help me to contextualize and put into practice what these guys have been talking about and what Marcus does on a daily basis. So 3 basic messages. The first one is trust. The second one is listen. And the third one is try. So trust is the first thing I want to talk about really quickly. And again, I want to share a story. When I was 10, I was in a catastrophic boating accident. In that accident, the adults perished and the children didn't. The children were wearing life jackets. We are taught from a very early period in our lives to follow the rules. Sometimes you have to trust your gut instinct when it tells you to do something. 3 basic stories that I want to share. First is trust, second is listen, third is try. So I was telling you about the catastrophic boating accident I was in when I was 10, and I was on this boat, myself, my grandfather, my uncle, my brother who's 3 years younger than me, a cousin who's 4 years younger than me, and another cousin who is about the same age but couldn't swim. And we're told when you take life-saving to never leave the boat. So when a boat tips over, you stay with the boat because the boat's going to float when it's upside down. So we're in the middle of Fishing Lake, Saskatchewan, which is in the middle of absolutely nowhere in Canada. And we're out there, and at this point, I don't know how long we've been over because you don't expect to tip over in your boat. And you've got all these people and no adults, and who knows what's going on, and you kind of see the adults perishing. And so what do? You're supposed to trust that everything's going to be okay. And what I did at that point, and I sort of said, we can't stay here. And trusting in the training as a swimmer at 10 years old, my parents put me in swimming lessons, got kids, make sure they know how to swim. And we sort of all ganged together and we moved towards the shore. I don't know how far we were from the shore. Some people were saying we were half a mile from the shore. Some people were saying we were a little closer. I don't know. But all I know is it was the summer, the water was a little chilly, and we all made our way to the shore. And trust was that everything would work out. It did work out in the end. We made our way along the beach and made it to where we needed to be, to where our families were, and it was kind of getting dark, I think. Hard to remember. But trust that everything's going to be okay. Trust in your gut. When about a week later, I remember being at my grandmother's house, and the life jackets from the boating accident were in the backyard. And I picked one up, and it was absolutely like a rock. It was so full of water. And I thought, holy mackerel, this could have been us. These Kapok life jackets that they don't sell anymore, those ones that keyhole that you put over with the loose foam in it, were all the rage in 1975. They absorbed water. So how we ended up floating, I don't know, but you trust that things are going to work, and you just have to trust your gut. And sometimes you have to say, I got to leave the boat, and I've got to go against what people would say to do. And I think if we trust ourselves, trust in our training, trust in our ideas, trust in our upbringing, it's going to work out. But you got to trust. Second thing I want to share is listening. We all hear, and I am the best at hearing. I do a radio show 3 nights a week. We talk about all sorts of stuff. I hear everything. But do you listen is the key. And I personally think one of our biggest problems in everything that we do is that we don't listen enough. We've got our own idea in our head. We're quick with the witty comeback. We're quick to say something. But are we really listening to what the people we're talking with are saying? And if we listen, it's amazing that education that you get. It's amazing the information you get. And we radio people are the worst at listening because we're looking at the clock. We just want to get the show done. We want to get people engaged, and we want to get out of there. And often we don't listen. But you know what? When I started to realize that listening is the key to everything, and actively engaging in that listening with my students who are Emirati women, who I teach at Zayed University, to all the people I get on the radio, It is this masterful education. And I'll jump right back to Marcus, because we did a show and have done a show for the longest time. And Marcus would come on every week, and he'd say basically the same things. That's the beauty of doing fitness radio. You just keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. And you think I'd be listening to what he was saying. You know, have I ever come to the InnerFight gym? Never. Never. But listening to Marcus, what did I learn? One thing. I learned many things, but the one thing, when I listened to him, small goals. Small goals. Do things micro format. What's my goal for this morning? What's my goal for this afternoon? What's my goal for today? What's my goal for this week? As soon as you make micro goals from listening to what someone else is saying and listening to how they're doing, can I ever be Marcus? No. Sorry. But if I listen to what he's saying and listen to how it's working and take just a bit of it and put that into practice, you can have ultimate success in whatever you're doing. Richard Thaler was another person I got to listen to. He's the author of the book Nudge. And I interviewed him, and I was listening to him, and I think, yeah. And then I thought, his whole book is about how you get people to do things without telling them to do it. And I thought, wow, you know, this makes it really easy. And so I experimented with my own students by not giving them the notes in a conventional way, but sending them to them via Twitter. And if I put my class notes on Twitter, and I put my readings on Twitter, not asking them to read them, just putting them there, they all read them. In fact, they read the notes better than I read the notes, because they'd come to me and start asking me questions about things. They'd say, well, it was in the notes. And I'm going, I didn't read that in the notes. So then I'm going back to the notes to find out, well, what's that thing they're talking about? So listening, if we listen to what people are saying, and we truly take it in and start thinking, how might that work? We can bring that into our own experiences, and it can be a very powerful tool for us. Third thing that becomes important. So we know we've got to listen. We know you got to trust yourself, which is hard, by the way. And listening's hard as well, because it takes too much effort. And it's tiring to listen, because you've got to start thinking about what people are saying and how does that work. And it's just easy to let it gloss over. But the third thing is try. And try, I think, is the hardest element of everything we do. So I've been living this world of try, and it's come back to bite me big time in many ways. And I guess for me it all started with grade 2. And I don't know how many of you remember grade 2, but I remember Miss Watson in grade 2, because she told me, James, you're in the B group. And she said, I'm sorry, James, you're the guy who's never going to make it. And in grade 2, I failed. And I did grade 2 again with the folks who were the year below me. And my boys always say, I can't believe, Dad, you failed grade 2. But that was the start of something. When we say try, this was the start of a nightmare. Not so much for my parents, because my parents just said, hey, do what you got to do. But from that point on, I said, I'm going to show this lady. And all of my friends and stuff, I said, I'm going to show this lady. It was like a moral blow. Can you imagine grade 2, right? A moral blow. So I said, I'm going to show this lady. And what happened for me is that's when I decided I was going to get a PhD. And I did. I did a PhD at the University of Montreal in French. I didn't speak French. So I had to learn French to do the PhD in French, which was the craziest thing now that I look back on it. But I also only did the PhD to show the teacher in grade 2, which I only realized when I finished the PhD, because people say, what are you going to do now? So I'm a professor. I'd never set out to be a professor. Really? I'd rather be a hairstylist or something. It's going to be a lot more fun. But look, I've got the hair. So I did this PhD in French at the University of Montreal, which is Canada's largest French university, Research One, great school, did it with a great guy, you know, fantastic program. But when I finished, there was no reason to do the PhD except to take that certificate back to that teacher and say, I did it. That's why I did the PhD. That was the only reason. That was the goal right to the end. So try things is the key. And in this case, you know, I like I said, I had to learn French. I didn't speak a word of French. I lived in Canada, but I wasn't a French speaker. So trying things, and try has been sort of the key to everything I've been doing for all these years now. Radio is another example. People say, oh, you studied communication, you must have been doing radio all your life. I never did radio ever in my life. I studied theory. I'm like political theory, cultural theory, political economy. That's my background, not radio. I just wanted to do radio. So it was learn the mechanisms and present yourself to the people who can make it happen, and just try. And listen to when people tell you how you can do better, and trust in your gut that people are going to tune in and people are going to be interested. And for me, radio is just doing what I want to hear. People would say, oh, you know, it sounds like a lot of fun. It's only because I'm doing what I want to listen to. And I'm fortunate that I get that break at Piecowye, and that Steve Smith, the COO, and Justine Jackson and Sue Perry say, yeah, go for it. Do the show. Make it happen. So it's trying things, and whether that be, maybe I'm going to come out here and get to the point where I can do the rings. Maybe. Maybe not. But because of Marcus, he's kept me running. I may not be coming to InnerFight, but I run 3-4 times a week. I'm out there with the skipping rope in the yard, trying that stuff. My wife says, why are you doing all this stuff? Is it because you're going to be 50 this year? Yeah, 50. I said, well, maybe. But I said, you know, you want to try to just, you got to try stuff. You got to push yourself. You got to go in a direction that you haven't been before. And I think if you take these 3 things that I've just spoken about, trying it on a daily basis. In fact, good old Jamie Oliver's got a new app called You, and it's on iPhone now. It's coming to Android. And all it is little things that you can do each day. Tiny. Like, you know, spice up the color of your juice with some pineapple or something. Or draw a picture and send it to a friend. It's that, you know, 1-minute thing you can do in a day. I say, you got to try stuff. You've got to listen to the people around you. Listen to the messages that they're sharing. Sometimes it's just the tiniest little thing about how bad their day is and how easy you can make it for them. And you just got to trust your gut that it's all going to work out and that there is a plan. And I always, when I look back at doing that PhD and moving here and teaching and writing a dissertation from 3 a.m. till 7 a.m. for 9 months to get it done and defending it in front of people who you don't know, and just thinking, much like, you know, coming to Dubai. I came to Dubai with 2 dogs, 2 children, my wife, and 170 Canadian dollars in my pocket. You just got to trust that it's all going to work out. And I think if we put all that together and take what all 3 of us have been saying here, and Marcus is coming up, I think we can rock and really make it work. And that's all I've got to say.